Whoa, what's going on here? Sound? I believe it says I have sound. I'm going to assume that I have sound. Well, we've got a couple days without any major technical problems. So apparently the microphone just didn't like to react to the computer. So I need to check that every day. I'll put that in my notes of things. So what I was saying is I want to thank my friend Cindy Marlowe for coming up with a name for us group. I think we're going to call ourselves the Coffee Mates. Let me know what you think. So yeah, I'm popping up over here. I see over that I actually have sound now. So what I started to say is, yesterday we talked a lot about fear and what causes fear, whether or not it's reasonable and that sort of thing. Today we're going to talk about some ways to eliminate that fear, to evaluate it and bring it down. Um, there's some very good news that we got from the University of Washington and Boise Dev, and I'm going to talk about that. That's kind of it today. So if you've got anything else you want to talk about, let me know. I'd love to talk about that. So let's start out right now with this good news from my son, and get rid of FDR and bring up this. Yeah, and that. So let me make this both a little larger here. So what we have here is a projection based on the University of Washington's projections. They've taken the information from Boise and from Idaho, and they've compiled it. And I want you to notice something really, really important here. At the top of this graph, it says all beds available. One of the things that we've been all really worried about is it wouldn't have enough beds. We wouldn't have enough ventilators. We wouldn't have enough ICUs to handle if we got that great big spike that everybody's showing. I talked yesterday a little bit that this was going to be an ugly week and that we were going to have an awful lot of really negative information. And it started out with pretty good news. This is from University of Washington. There are a total number in Idaho of 1,800 beds, and it looks as if we may need only 151. Now, that's a huge gap, and what that means that even if this is wrong, my friend Jake Beecham, who is kind of a wonky guy, kind of a nerdy guy, is not all that sure of these numbers. I particularly like them, maybe just because it's good news and I'm a little bit Pollyanna, but even if those numbers are significantly worse, I got to get my son's logo in here. So Boise Dev is where I found this information. He's been very good at bringing positive or correct is probably a better way to describe it, news to all of us. So have a chance to check out Boise Dev or just search Boise Dev here on Facebook. Good news. That's a perfect example of what we talked about yesterday. We really have no way of knowing what's going to happen with this crazy thing. So what we need to do is we need to think about how we deal with the fear. And one of the best ways to deal with fear is to analyze it, to actually figure out how much of the fear we feel is correct. I think probably one of the best examples of all is sharks versus dolphins. Because of the movie Jaws, sharks are vilified and they're scary, and you would think that sharks kill millions of people a year. They kill 4 or 5 a year. Dolphins often kill more people in any given year, but dolphins are cute and sharks are ugly. So we fear dolphins. There are all sorts of examples of why we fear spiders. Spiders almost never hurt us. We fear snakes. What we should fear is drivers. Again, we fear drunk drivers, and it's true. Drunk drivers are involved in a lot of accidents. But almost every accident is speed related. So you should be afraid of people who speed, not afraid of people who drunk, or more afraid of people who drive at excessive speeds. The reason we don't hear about speeding in accidents, well, because we all speed and we don't all drink. And those people who drink are by some considered not morally correct. It's fine to speed, it's not fine. So that's a great example of how the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. So analyze your fears. Is it a reasonable fear? That's a great way to alleviate your fears. So remember that it's look at your fear, your anxiety. Is it a reasonable thing? Should you reasonably be afraid of that? Is there a chance of a grizzly bear showing up in your backyard and eating you? Well, yeah, there's a chance, but it's not very likely. So know your facts. Probably the best way to do that now is just to avoid social media altogether. It's really, really scary if you read all of the terrible things. Remember, just a few weeks ago, this was all a scam, and it was a hoax, and it was who knows who was doing it, and it was not happening. And then all of a sudden, it just got devastating. Everything we heard was Corona this, Corona that, COVID that. We're all going to die. We're all going to starve. The economy's going to crash. Well, here it is. I'm on 18, so call it 21 days, 3 weeks later. It looks manageable. It's still terrible. There's still going to be a lot of people die, and we are going to have a economic crash, but we'll get through it. We'll survive it. In 6 months from now, we'll look back and go, oh my God, that was terrible. But most of us are going to be fine. We are probably going to have to we're going to have to deal with the political side, and we're also going to have to live with the economic side. But for most of us, the coronavirus is going to be a really huge inconvenience. So think about that. Think about something that is more positive. Probably the best thing you can do is accept it. Accept that risk, whatever that risk is, and deal with it. What can you personally do to alleviate that fear? Obviously, social distancing is great. Remember, it's social distancing, not emotional distancing. You can you can control your environment. You can wash your hands. You can disinfect your environment. You can stay away from other people. You can not go shopping and looking for Easter clothes. You can affect those things. Those will rapidly, and in the case of quarantine, if you stay away from everybody, you are not going to get it unless someone who you are immediately in contact with. So in my case, I am at a little bit more risk because my wife is on the front lines and has to go to work. But my risk is minimal. The chances of me catching COVID-19, the coronavirus, are really close to zero. I'm not particularly worried about it. I'm worried about the rest of it. I'm worried about everybody else. So what can you do to lessen that outcome, that likelihood, or not even a likelihood, the possibility that you will have any fear? And this does not just apply to this virus. This applies to anything. Are you afraid of public speaking, for instance? Is there something you can do about that? Are you afraid of getting in front of a microphone? I obviously am not. I put it right where everybody can hear it. That's probably what happened is when I moved it, it disconnected. What can you personally do to alleviate that fear? I'm looking over here. Zig, you do not have to comment on every sentence. I love you dearly, buddy, but you're clogging up the feed over here. So what can you do to control the outcome? Another thing you can think about is, what are you going to learn from this experience? What is it that this thing that's causing you fear? Is it causing you fear for a reason? I do think that part of this is the universe telling us to go to our room and think about what we did. Can we learn from all of this? Can we use our fear to create a circumstance that will make the future better or the present better? So think about your fears. One of the best things you can do with fear is wait it out. Take a big breath, count to 10, or in our case, count to 3 weeks, and combine your abilities to alleviate it with the ability to wait it out. And you can, if you do that, you will generally be fine. This is a major thing, but most of our fears, think about something you were absolutely terrified 6 months ago. Personally, I was having some health issues and I was really, really nervous. But over time, I learned more about it. I learned how to reduce it, and now it doesn't seem like that big a deal. Even those major problems in your life, if you suck it up and think a little bit about how and think about what it is you can do to relieve them, and to wait it out. Often your fears will go away. Even this crazy virus is going to go away. So the other thing you can do, and I really, really love this one is, and it's something I do a lot, exercise. If you get out and walk and clear your mind or do some intensive exercise, the fear will move to the background and you'll get an opportunity to kind of process it. The next line in here is step back from news and social media. This is very true of the virus circumstances. You are going to be inundated with bad news. We talked a lot about this yesterday. Bad news sells subscriptions. Bad news sells ads. Bad news sells clicks. Good news does not. There are people that will get hundreds of thousands of views. I'll get 100. And I've been talking about almost entirely good news. I'm sure if I decided to talk about bad news, I could get more people to watch me. Not my style. So step back from social media. Did you know that you can snooze somebody for 30 days? I have a couple of people here. I want to bring this one up here. Look at this. This is very good. I love this from Rose. I don't know Rose very well. In fact, I may not know her at all, but we're all in this together. I think that's a great way to look at it. In dealing with your fears, there's somebody you can talk to. There's somebody who you can lean on. I've been leaning on my wife a lot. I bounce some stuff off my daughter and my son a lot. Jameson, who's new to my family, is involved in all of that. And Kara Jackson, of course. Is there someone you can reach out to? Is there somebody, I will honestly tell you, anybody on this feed, if you have a problem and there's something that I can talk about, please hit me up. Lots of you have my phone number. You all have my Facebook instant messaging. Let me know. And that's the next thing. If your anxiety is too high, if it's really getting to you, if you are so fearful of something, including this crazy virus, get some professional help. Some of you know that I have battled depression for my whole life, and professional help is what that and exercise and a good dog who's laying at my feet really helped me. If it gets to the point where you really can't deal with it, seek professional help, because it's really important, because it's fun. I appreciate all of you, and I don't want anything bad to happen to you. End of another rant. Boy, I've been getting on them a lot lately. A couple of things. You'll notice down in the corner that the Ecamm logo is gone. I've decided to buck up and pay $120 for a subscription to do this every day. So I hope you continue to enjoy it. When I started, it was a 14-day trial. I was hoping that in 14 days we'd be out of here, but yeah, that didn't work quite like that. So, and they gave me an extra week, but I decided to buck up. Hang on, I need to get a cup of coffee because I'm parched because I just talked for 15 minutes straight. All right, folks. How fun was that? Wasn't very fun, was it? But talking about fear never is. Tomorrow we're going to talk about gratitude. And let's see. Here we go. Look at that from Melissa. My mom always advised me, suck it up, sunshine. Well, I'm not so sure that suck it up works for some of this, but I do think that it's a good way to be. Tough it out is not a bad way to go either. All right, let's go to some lighter stuff. Let's see what I got over here. So, this is some of the crazy things that you can worry about if you pay it really close to social attention. There is a video out there. I got sent it probably 3 or 4 different times. This was probably a week ago, and it seemed like completely craziness now. But there was a video out there that was convincing people. It was very convincing. I was a doctor, and as it turned out, he was a doctor of philosophy. But it said PhD in the end. He seemed like a real doctor. It said that if you, like this woman here, sprayed your nose and then put a hairdryer up it, that the coronavirus would die in your nose. Well, I'm guessing a lot of people did this. This is a perfect example of what how you have to be really, really careful. Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry, Rose. I did not recognize your photograph. You look very good. Yes, Rose. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I should have figured that out. So yes, Rose is a longtime friend. Anyway, take slow breaths and close your mouth for 5 minutes. This is a great example. Don't do that, please. Just be careful. All of these crazy cures. There's probably only one cure. It will be a vaccine. There are some other stuff that's working, some antibodies, that sort of thing. It's going to take about a year before we have anything that's truly effective. So be really, really careful about what you read. And as I said, I have snoozed several people. You just find the button and you hit snooze and you don't see their stuff for 30 days. I have a whole bunch of people who, on both sides of the fence, who have gotten a little bit radicalized that this is the end of the world or it's all a hoax. Personally, I don't believe it's either. I think it's important. I think we need to pay attention, but, it's somewhere in the middle. It's going to be something we'll talk about to our kids when we're older, or now when I'm old. If you like what you see here, do me a favor, share the video. There is a way for you to hit notification. And if you want to catch up on what I'm doing, go back and see how this has evolved. Most of these, the ones that I was able to work correctly, or yes, my friend David says that coronavirus cannot be cured by drinking bleach. Absolutely, very, very true. Again, there's a lot of crazy cures out there. There's only really one way to protect yourself from coronavirus, and that is to stay away from people with coronavirus. So absolutely limit your, to quarantine yourself. Limit your, what do they call that? Exposure. There you go. Limit your exposure. So if you like what I'm doing here, please share it along, hit the notify button. And if you want to see what I'm doing on a regular basis, you can go to my YouTube page, which is David R. Day. You search David R. Day Boise or David R. Day Photography or David R. Day Creative, and it shows up. I sure appreciate you all for being here. Tomorrow we're going to talk about gratitude. I personally believe that gratitude is a secret superpower. The more grateful you are, the healthier you are, the better off you are. So thank you all. I've gone a little over time today. I'm going to, if I can, instead of doing the crazy, outro, I think I'm going to end each show with a photograph. So this is downtown Boise on 8th Street. And I want to remind you all that the rainbows will come out and the sun will come out tomorrow. This is David R. Day. We call these Heard Over Coffee. Every morning at 9:30 Mountain Time. Join us. Be one of the coffee mates. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you.